What is the most annoying thing a guest has done in your home? Invite their own guest to stay with us for 5 days, none of them were invited to stay over. Relatives. That is so freaking rude. My brother pulled this poop once. He was dating this girl, for probably 6 months. Maybe a year. My brother asked if she could stay the night, I was surprised when my parents said okay. My brother was 21 or maybe slightly older at the time, so I guess it wasn't that big a deal. So she stays over, then never freaking leaves. My parents aren't very confrontational, and she basically lived with us for a month. I think my brother told them near the end, that she had problems at home. Okay, that sucks, but you kind of need to make these sorts of arrangements beforehand. My parents weren't really expecting a month-long live-in guest and feeding her too. She repaid them by stealing food from our pantry because we had lots to spare. My best friend wouldn't freaking leave. When I asked her what her going home plans were after 6 days, she said, I don't plan my life that way. We are 30. Do you mind if I do it for you? Step 1. Get the frick out. Left his trash everywhere and then started to complain because of that trash laying around. Is he a fricking sim? Let their little kid wipe his butt with my guest towels. Instead of, asking where the toilet paper is. When I was young, my parents went on a vacation and sent me to stay with the school nurse for a week. One night I pooped myself. I was so embarrassed and didn't want to tell anyone. I took the shit-stained underwear and stuffed it behind the dresser in the bedroom. A week after I'm back home, my parents receive a package in the mail. This lady had found the poop-crusted underwear, put them in a Ziploc bag, and sent them back to us. A kid whose parents didn't supervise him. He was probably 8 or 9 at the time and would get into anything, especially stuff computer-related. He would dig through drawers and open boxes looking for gadgets to play with. Only to frick them up or lose something. We finally told the parents they couldn't bring him back when he got into the kitchen and turned on the glass-top stove while a pizza box was on it. Started a small, quickly extinguished fire and the house smelled like smoke for about a week. Have a similar story. Bag kid of one of my wife's very new friends met at school picking up the kids a few times, come over once. He ran straight upstairs, jumping the baby gate, jumped on my bed and went through my bedside drawers. As I went to run upstairs to get the little pick, he came tumbling down, knocking the baby gate down and damaging the wall. He then proceeded to run across my couch before I grabbed him and threw him outside. His mum barely blinked and just said he can be a little crazy sometimes. Told her to frick off and never come back. My dad collects fossils and found the lower half of a human jaw. He called the police when he found it, but they told him it was quite old and couldn't do anything with it. In the end he was allowed to keep it and the jawbone is on display in his poker room. My mother's cousin stayed with them for a visit, picked it up by each end and pressed them inward exclaiming, "Oh, is this real?" The piece snapped in half. Dad quietly removed the bits from my cousin's hands and left the room. He put it together with some scotch tape. My late partner was very sick with leukemia. After over a year of being his 24/7 caregiver, I got the opportunity to go abroad for a work trip. My partner insisted I go because I deserved a break from caregiving and that his deadbeat brother would fill in as caregiver while I was gone. While his brother was staying within our home, he brought his cat, which is a no-no for someone who living with zero immune system, did the absolute minimum to take care of my partner and left him basically to figure out meds, food on his own. And the final blow was he stole the big piggy bank that we were using to save for his bucket list vacation before he died. Then denied he did it. It makes my blood boil thinking about it. One of my mother's friends is not only a raging alcoholic but is also on ridiculous amount of prescription drugs. One night she was staying with my parents and fell asleep in a leather recliner because of aforementioned alcohol and drugs. At some point in the middle of the night she shit herself, again because of the aforementioned alcohol and drugs, and instead of being a good guest and decent human being and being embarrassed by it and doing her damnedest to clean it up, she threw the blanket she was sleeping under over her mess and then went upstairs to sleep in one of the beds. Then she just told my mother about it in the morning and then left. My mother used bleach and every cleaner under the sun to clean up the mess, and she did, but she ended up just throwing the chair out because how could you ever really look at it the same way again? The most shocking detail in this story is that my mother is still friends with this lady. If anything is encouraging me to stay clean today, it's this. I've thrown up on myself, everywhere and peed myself multiple times. This is Reddit, I have no shame lol, but I cannot imagine just leaving it there, especially poo. Even that whacked out on the pills, I still knew very well that vomiting on my friend's couch was a no-no and really, really bad. Even if I didn't realize it in the moment, I ensured that I did everything I could to fix the situation as soon as I even just began sobering up. Like buy my friend a new couch, or clean the whole house for them, or give them money to have someone clean professionally. I would profusely apologize also, and if they wanted to cut ties with me for things like wetting myself at the dinner table, I fully accepted that. It's a disgusting thing to do and there's no excuse, and she's a scum human being for not caring about literally pooping on the couch. Also, can I just point out that she went upstairs and slept in your parents' bed with shit in her pants also. This woman is a piece of poo, arguably literally. Edit, just to clarify, I don't think I'm any better than her at all. I'm just as horrible for doing those things, and my damage control doesn't make what I did any more acceptable. I was at work all day and I always close my door before leaving, always. My mum had guests over and decided, hey, let's show the guests everyone's rooms and all the rooms in the house in general. Well, one lady, whom I had never met, didn't like how I arranged my room, so while everyone was at dinner, I worked from 11:30 a.m. to about 9 p.m., 6 days a week, so I wasn't there when this happened. She went into my room and rearranged my desk, the clothes in my drawers and closet, all my pictures, and threw out some knickknacks that were given to me by old friends but she thought were trash I hadn't thrown out yet. I was pissed. She totally admitted it, but didn't seem to feel bad at all. My mum was upset too, but not as much as me. They're no longer friends, but I'm not sure why, probably cause she threw out some of my mum's knickknacks as well. What the frick is wrong with people? Do they not have any filter for boundaries? If a guest did that in my house, regardless of whose room it was, I'd have asked them to leave immediately. Took explosive poops that left poo spattered all over the toilet every single day for the month that he was residing in our house. Didn't think to clean it up. Oh, my roommate visited you. I invited a former college classmate to come and stay at my house when I found out he was homeless. I knew he had issues with drinking but was not aware that he had come to include other addictions. It was late in the evening when I picked him up and brought him home. I showed him his room, the bathroom, told him to help himself to anything in the fridge. Less than 2 hours later I woke up to the smoke alarm going off. I guess he had decided to smoke some Benadryl that was in the medicine cabinet. I'm not really sure what went on, but he scorched my coffee table and a small patch of laminate flooring, plus he melted a spot in my area rug big enough that I had to replace it. He also broke my favorite glass and for some reason that still baffles me, smashed the remote for my TV into several pieces. Needless to say, I had to show him the door. The next day I told him he needed to go to the addictions clinic at the hospital and tell them he needed help because he was a danger to himself and others. This was technically in a dorm room, not a real home, but I had the audacity to wake up my roommate's boyfriend by walking into my room, where he was asleep at 3 in the afternoon, and he immediately launched into a political argument with me. Oh, sorry I woke you up. You know who needs to wake up? The sheeple. My aunt took a poo in the bathroom, a given, considering we were having a barbecue, but instead of throwing the used tissue in the toilet or even the bin, she put it inside the bathtub. I told my mom, who put her on blast in front of the whole family. She doesn't come to the cookouts anymore. Last weekend I spent all day cooking for all my friends. I slow-cooked chicken all day, made fresh salsa and guac, etc. We all got drunk and ate. I put everything away so I could save it for meals later. I'm poor, so it was supposed to feed me for a bit. Well, after I went to bed, this fucking cunt took the food out to make tacos and didn't put it away. So I had to throw away all the food I spent all day cooking. I'm still pissed and getting mad just writing this. I've made this post before, so I'll just copy-paste it here, not my house but my car. I don't have many rules for passengers when I'm driving, but there are 2 I will never budge on. 1. Wear your seat belt. 2. Do not smoke in my car. I had just bought a car, it wasn't brand new, but I knew the previous and only owner, and I knew he was a car guy who took meticulous care of his cars inside and out. He wouldn't even sell me the car before he had given the engine a proper service. Within a week of getting the car, a friend asked for a lift to the train station. I knew he smoked, so as we walked to the car I told him specifically to wait until we get to the station before he lights up, a 10-minute ride at most. I back out of the parking spot, drive to the exit of the parking lot, and as I check my left-hand side for oncoming cars I hear from my right the distinctive sound of a lighter sparking up. Dude could not even fucking wait until we were out of the fucking car park before he just had to have his goddamn cigarette. I ask him what the hell he thinks he's doing and he just looks at me and says, "Relax, it's not like it's a new car." Fka ended up walking to the train station. Good.